Hello and welcome to Markets Today. I'm Lata Venkatesh, and with me joining from the Delhi News Centre is my colleague Surabhi Upadhyay. First of all, a very happy new year to those of you who have just joined us. Well, it was a nothing kind of day in the markets, and not surprisingly, the trading community has obviously not returned in full strength or in any strength to the markets. The big indices finished flat, and the midcaps had their time under the sun. You know, the mice were at play when the cat was away. Hi, Surabhi.
Hi, Lata. Absolutely. Very happy new year to all our viewers. And, well, a positive start. Nevertheless, didn't see too much of movement on the indices, but, well, the color remained green. Let's straight away get to the top stories. Positive start to 2015 on Dalal Street. Major indices end a range-bound session with marginal gains. The Sensex reclaims the 27,500 mark. The Nifty ends just 15 points away from 8,300.
Automobile stocks see modest gains as Motown ends 2014 on a high. Maruti sales in December rose nearly 21% thanks to Celerio and Shiaz. TVS Motor also posted a 20% rise in sales, but M&M and Hero MotoCorp saw only a modest pickup.
Midcaps outperformed blue chips on the first day of 2015 as well, with the midcap index rising 0.25%. Jet Airways soars as much as 9% as aviation fuel prices see a cut. Kalpataru Power gains on over 6% on order wins, and infra names like IVRCL and GVK Power also see good buying in trade today.
And here are the experts that we have lined up on the show for you today. Market perspective from Prashant Jain, the veteran CIO of HDFC Asset Management. As always, Sudarshan Sukani will be with us to give us the technical aspects of the market. But from the policy space, we have the big guy, Coal Secretary Anil Swarup, who will talk about the government's auction plans. And on our corporate radar, we have the SBI Chairman, Arundhati Bhattacharya, to talk about the meeting with the Prime Minister that PSU bankers have to hammer out some reforms.
All right, let's straight away, first of all, fill you in on the day's trading highlights. As we've been saying, it was a positive start to the new year, but the session overall was extremely dull and range-bound. However, both the major indices did manage to end with very, very marginal token gains. Sonia Shenoy is here. Sonia, I guess not entirely unexpected. It was New Year's Day, and then we're also moving towards the weekend now.
Well, thanks for that. It was a very quiet session of trade today. So we were just in a 40-point trading range all day. And that's how painfully slow it was. The volumes were very low as well. The turnover for the market was less than 90,000 crores. And the mid-caps outperformed just marginally. In terms of gainers, metals did well. JSPL, Sesa, Sterlite, Tata Steel were all higher. Heavyweights like ONGC, SBI, L&T and HCL Tech also performed. While on the losing end, you had NTPC, Coal India and HDFC that were slightly subdued today. Midcaps had quite a bit of gainers, so names like Exide, Jet Airways, TVS Motors, well-traded stocks, Manappuram General Finance and IVRCL were the big gainers today. But all in all, everyone's going to get back to work on Monday, so until then, you can expect quiet days.
Point taken. It was quiet, but it was also a high beta day, Sonia, wasn't it? With IT pharma not doing too well, but the high beta guys, the mid-cap, some of them doing well. Notice in the banking space in particular, as a sector, the PSU banks did very well, which is again high beta. But within then, look at the names, SBBJ, State Bank of Bikaner in Jaipur, State Bank of Travancore, all of them did well. Also, United Bank, IOB, Dena Bank were the other stocks. Andhra Bank were the ones that did well. What's common to all of them? People think that the weekend off-site between the Prime Minister and the PSU bankers could result in some consolidation talk. A Hindu Business Line article propped this speculation, but the markets also believe that since consolidation is going to be discussed, smaller banks, especially the state bank subsidiaries and banks like Dena or Andhra Bank, which are always seen as weak banks and therefore potential targets for consolidation, are the ones that they should back, and that's where you saw a lot of the action. This was not the only high beta sector which did well, but this had at least a reason to do well.
All right, Lata, let's move on then to a big market view to kickstart the year. Prashant Jain of HDFC Asset Management feels that though the Indian market is still not overvalued, one will have to be patient with a 2-3 year investment horizon to really reap the benefits. He also says that we cannot expect gains in 2015 to be more than what we've already seen in 2014. However, Jain expects equities to outperform other asset classes in the long term.
I think to a reasonable extent, markets are discounting the improving fundamentals. But I think markets are clearly not overvalued. I think the quick money, the fast money, the big money is over. But I think the patient money, the compounding money over time, I think that remains. I think equities are not amenable to short-term timing. But if you look at the likely growth rates, if you look at how the markets are valued today, I think someone with a 2, 3, 5-year view, this is a very good investment opportunity. And we must also look at not just absolute returns, but relative returns of equities versus other categories. And I think their equities will clearly score. So I think if you compare it with the outlook on gold or real estate, I think they are definitely far superior. India is in a very unique position. If you look at the large economies in the world, probably India is the only country where interest rates have to move down. In my opinion, though quite a few people disagree with me here, I feel any improvement in growth rates will have to be led by an improvement in the investment cycle. It is very hard to to forecast stock markets on a 1-year basis, and we have consistently maintained that. But I think if you look at likely growth rates and current PE multiples, I think the outlook is good with a 2-3 year view. The investment cycle has to recover before the consumption cycle.
That's an optimistic view, actually, coming in from someone who's not given to flamboyance at all, a veteran observer of the markets, Prashant Jain. Well, let's get back to the happenings of the day. For all the action from the futures and options space, let's go across to Varinder Bansal. Varinder.
Well, thank you so much. It was a no trade today, clearly. Just look at the volumes, as you said, the volumes were very, very low. There was nothing happening much in the markets apart from, some of the events which everyone is watching out. So a few of the people were playing autos because of the auto sales number, or some are betting on the banking stocks, especially ahead of that banking conclave, or people are waiting for results. But if you're watching for options data, no major change seen on the options side. Continuous put running happening at 8200, 8300. There was buying in calls which was seen at 8500, 8600. So the equilibrium level for that Nifty options remained at 8300. As I said, TVS Motors was one strong stock today, up nearly 3.5%. Open build up of nearly 15%. Looking out for that auto sales number. Excite was also very exciting today, up by nearly 5%. We were seeing long build up over there. As I said, banking conclave could be important, in the next few days. And all these stocks, whether it's Andhra Bank, IDBI Bank, IOB, were seeing long build-up happening in. And today was a day of clear underperformers, stocks which didn't perform in 2014. But on the first day, you were seeing some buying happening in, whether it's JP Associates, GMR Infra, Reliance Communication. All these stocks were up anywhere between 2 to 4%. And we were seeing some kind of build-up happening on all these stocks.
Okay, Varinder, thanks so much for that. Well, let's get Sonia back in. We've been talking about auto sales and how auto stocks saw some modest buying today. Well, December seems to have been a rather okay month. The numbers that are trickling in point out that Maruti and Eicher, for instance, are showing a healthy pickup in sales. Sonia, what are you making of the trend?
Well, thanks for that. A long list of auto companies that came out with their numbers today. Let me start off with the best of the lot, which was Maruti. Good numbers, total sales growth of 21%. That's on account of the two new launches, Ciaz and Celerio, doing quite well. Then we have Eicher Motors, which reported a strong sales growth in both the commercial vehicles as well as the motorcycle segment. So commercial vehicle sales have grown by about 21%, and the motorcycle sales too were quite strong this time around. Next up, M&M, that was the weakest link of the entire pack. So total sales were down about 8.5% for M&M. That's the auto sales I'm talking about. And the tractor sales were worse. So tractor sales were down by about 27% because of the delayed monsoons. Hero MotoCorp, flat sales this time around at 5.26 lakh units. So just up about 0.2%. And then you had TVS Motor, which saw a sales growth of 20% on a year-on-year basis. So that trajectory on the upside continues. So good going for Eicher, for Maruti and for TVS Motor, while not so great for Mahindra and Mahindra.
All right, thanks for that, Sonia. But just to continue with automobile news, the government has decided not to extend the excise duty relief to car makers, and cars are getting expensive. Foreign car makers like BMW, Renault, GM and Nissan have announced price hikes for select vehicles effective today. With that, let's move on to the public sector behemoth, Coal India. The company is moving in the right direction, we understand, towards doubling its production in the next 5 years. That's the word that came in from Anil Swarup, the coal secretary. Speaking exclusively to our channel, Swarup said that output is expected to grow by 10% this year itself. Listen in.
My hunch is that we should be moving in that direction now that we have a full-time chairman Coal India as well. And the government is putting a lot of effort to ensure that the production does increase. We are ready with the 5-year plan, and which has the annual targets. It will be formally released over a period of time. This has been finalized in discussion with the new incumbent chairman Coal India. This year we should reach about 507 to 510 million tons. So that is the target that we are looking at. The first part, that is the one that we've already announced, will be completed by 31st of March. This was important in the context of the decision of the Supreme Court, because we do need to have someone to take over these mines once the previous lessees or the owners do not mine after 31st of March. So the 42 part will be over before 31st of March. The additional 32 and 27 may go into a bit of April and May, but that doesn't really matter because they are not covered by that 31st March deadline. Once we are through with these 101, we are parallelly working on the auction or allotment of the remaining 103 of 204 mines. And our timeline is that before 31st March 2016, we should have taken care of all these 204 mines.
All right, let's get in Pragya now. We've just heard the coal secretary there sound quite optimistic on maintaining that all-important timeline. Pragya, what were some of the high points that you picked up from that conversation?
Well, you know, the big headline, of course, is the fact that the government is targeting to reach production and, in fact, dispatch targets of coal for this financial year at 507 to 510 million tons. Of course, he clarified that there's enormous effort that the government is putting right now to increase the Coal India production target. They're ready with a 5-year plan with annual targets at every particular stage, and they're expecting a formal release on this within a fortnight. Of course, you know, all of this is happening in consultation with the Coal India chairman. Apart from that, you know, it's the evacuation of coal, which is the big talking point and the big problem area. So not just is the government looking to increase the Coal India production, but also looking to resolve this rail linkage issue, wherein they are talking with Rail Ministry and preparing a mine-wise evacuation plan to address this particular problem. Not just is the government, the Coal Secretary also ensured that they're looking to get the under construction rail lines up and running so that the Coal India production can reach the consumer sites quite quickly. The other part of the interview, of course, focused on the upcoming coal block auctions, and on that particular front, he indicated companies still have time to put in the additional levy. Not just this, like he was saying in the bites played earlier, that roughly about 204 coal blocks will get auctioned by 31st of March 2016, and he's not worried on any kind of, you know, demand-supply mismatch, at least at this point. For this particular financial year, we will see, you know, coal mines getting auctioned / allocated, almost about 101 of those, which will have the potential to produce close to about 400 million tons by, you know, FY16. So that will be the big highlight. So he believes that, you know, there will be no mismatch, at least at this point. On the, you know, treatment of surplus coal, he indicated that the idea of the government is to keep the power tariffs capped, and that is why, you know, there is a differentiation in which the surplus coal will be treated for the regulated and the non-regulated sector. And finally, you know, on the commercial mining, he said it's still some time away. There's a lot more groundwork that still needs to be done by the government, but, you know, it'll happen sometime in the future. But, you know, for now, we can just suffice from the fact that Coal India production is definitely inching in the right direction. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Pragya. Aside from the disappointment over commercial mining, I guess the Coal Secretary had a lot of optimistic things to say about that industry. But the banking sector is also in focus ahead of the bankers meet on 2nd and 3rd January. The PSU bankers are embarking on a 2-day brainstorming session with the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister and the Reserve Bank Governor in Pune. They'll sit down to thrash out a set of reforms for state-run banks. The head of India's largest public sector bank, Arundhati Bhattacharya, spoke exclusively to us, to this channel. She spotted areas like asset quality, risk management, financial inclusion as the top priorities that are likely to be discussed. Let's listen in.
If you ask me what are the areas that we are going to talk about, I think the areas have been very well chosen by the ministry. So we'll be talking things on, say, stuff like HR, asset quality, risk management, capitalization, financial inclusion, your other areas like consolidation. So all of these are subjects that are going to be discussed. So to that extent, I think it's going to be pretty broad coverage. This is something that we need to ask for, not only that we have a longer tenure for the chairman, but also in respect of the very top echelons, that when we know the dates of retirements, people must be positioned early enough in order to ensure a proper taking over and handing over, and that we don't have the kind of vacancies that we are seeing at this point of time. Vacancies can be very disruptive, and uncertainty is even worse. So I think these things need to get taken care of, and definitely it will be one of the things that we will discuss.
All right, time for a break now, but coming up on the other side, Sudarshan Sukhani will be joining in for a technical chat. We'll also get you some trading ideas for tomorrow.